Welcome back to Your Wait is Over, Postmenopausal Women Scaling Back. My name is Jean Natray, weight loss expert, and I'm your host, where we are gathering together with several experts who are sharing with us all sorts of ways to help you shed those excess pounds and feel better. And you don't really have to hold on to those excess pounds. You really don't have to. So there are ways here that we're discovering from our experts. And I'm so happy that you've joined us. And today, I'm very excited to talk with Danna Pycher. She is a internationally known speaker, and she's a hypnotist. And so, of course, she works with the subconscious mind. And she primarily works with alleviating trauma and chronic disease, and she works with helping people lose weight. And I love this topic because I'm such a big believer in using the mind to work for us, okay? A lot of times it works against us when we're just allowing that subconscious chatter to go on, this chatter that we can't even hear, that is directing so much of our lives. So by using our mind in a deliberate way, we can evoke so many changes. And so Danna is an expert in that. Hi and welcome, Danna.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, my great pleasure. All right, so let's get into so addictions. That's a big topic of yours because it's a big topic of everyone's, right? We seem to have these addictions, especially in this day of engineered food. Stress can drive us to eating junky food and doing other things that aren't so healthy to our body. I'm definitely a victim of that to some small degree because I've been working on it. And so anyway, why don't you tell us about addictions and how you work with those?
Okay, great. Great question. Well, everything you said is a contributor. For better or for worse, there's a lot working against us when it comes to food addiction, when it comes to any addiction. The base of an addiction in general, the foundation of an addiction is we are using external mechanisms to cope with our feelings, with our internal feelings that have been shut down, repressed, some things we don't want to feel. So what do? Maybe we drink alcohol to numb the feeling. We eat, stuff it down. A lot of binge eating is unconscious. It's unconscious eating. It just happens. It's sparked and it happens because there's something that is triggering your subconscious mind that says, oh, wow, comfort in this moment. I need help in this moment, and it's very unconscious. So at a base level, addictions come from repressed feelings or repressed trauma that really our subconscious mind is trying to protect us from. So it just creates this instinctive behavior in order for us to not feel such pain or such trauma. It becomes instant. It becomes something happens, there's some stimulus, and then you go for the addiction. So it just depends on what you've learned. So for example, if you grew up in a family that was surrounded by alcohol, then you might know that to be a coping mechanism. You just learned it. A lot of people say alcoholism is genetic, and there might be a component of that. But learned behavior, you can also say is quote unquote, hereditary and genetic, if you agree with me. It's becomes encoded in your DNA because you watch it, and it just becomes encoded in your psychic DNA, your psyche.
Exactly.
Yes. So if, for example, food addiction, sugar addiction, I work with a ton of people, but all types of food addiction, the whole spectrum of food and weight issues, I work with people. So food addiction is interesting if when you're young, your parent basically something happened and then you cried and then they shut you up with a lollipop or whatever type of food. They just kind of said, okay, just eat this. So you never really got to fully express yourself. You just had a feeling, you felt pain, then you're basically put two and two together with food being placed in your mouth.
Pacified, like a pacifier.
It is a pacifier. It is a pacifier. And depending on how much that happened and, your connection to food, there's a lot of different, which we can maybe talk about in a bit, all the different connections to food. But that's generally speaking why we have addictions, because we have feelings that were never expressed and that we're suppressing. So our nature just says, feel better, try to feel better. But unfortunately, these solutions are not permanent. And ultimately, you don't feel better.
Right, because you're not really addressing the foundation, which is the subconscious mind that is ruling 95% of our thoughts, as I understand it, right? So
that's it.
But now with the information that you and so many others have as well, we really can do that. And I love the idea of using our mind deliberately, and that we can do that. We just have to manage our thoughts, basically, is what it comes to, in a deliberate way.
Yeah. Yes.
So much power there.
Great point. Also, exactly. So if we use 5% of our mind, we're not accessing 95% of it. And if we did deliberately through the use of hypnosis is one of the from what I've found, foremost tools to access that other 95%. If we use it deliberately, every day even, like I'm a big advocate of people learning this stuff for themselves. If we use it every day, our brain is like a computer. We can rewrite the software, we can update the software. We should. And by upgrading the software, we just basically function better. So instead of running on old, stagnant emotions, old, stagnant software, we, instead of using 5% of our brain, we open up our subconscious mind to create more usage in our consciousness.
That makes sense.
Isn't that cool?
Right, it sure is. And a second ago, you touched on that we can do for ourselves. So can you talk about some of those things that we can actually do for ourselves?
Yes, a lot of things. The mind, first of all, my first advocacy is the imagination. Our imagination is so potent, and really half of the basis of what hypnosis is using imagination to heal. So when we're kids, we have this huge capacity. If something happens, we don't feel good, we might dance, we might sing, it just express, shake it off somehow. And as we become adults, we lose that essence, we lose that sense. And a lot of what hypnosis is getting back into creativity, your creative mind, your subconscious mind, to heal. So there are many things that you can do even daily, visualizations, if you're disciplined and committed, then, and if you have basically, you can have a daily practice of updating the software, then it's possible to create a more sustained, healthier energy, more motivation. The key here is commitment. The key is commitment to self, because oftentimes when we get stressed or something is thrown our way, we lose track of being disciplined with our mind. I'll mention this. My mother used to say when I was young, and I never liked it in the past, but now I really am connected with it. My mom, there's like a Buddhist saying, and I don't know how to say it in, Sanskrit or anything like that, or if Hindu, whatever, you get the point. Okay, so she would say that garbage in, garbage out. What you put in your brain comes out of your behavior, of who you are. And when I was young, I never really connected with it, but now I find it so true. So even if you watch television that is violent, or you are in an atmosphere, like there's women that I have worked with that have had sexual trauma, God forbid. And I see a lot of women with that. And actually sexual trauma is hugely connected to weight gain. That's a huge topic. Yeah. I see it in huge percentage of the women I work with. So if there is something like that in someone's life, I highly recommend not watching crime shows. What's the point of bringing more violence into your mind, triggering yourself like that, and even just little modifications of creating a healthier environment consciously, it's huge.
And also because, would you say our environment is a reflection of our thoughts?
Yeah.
And it's kind of this loop thing. And when we see things in our environment, like my beautiful cat, I love to go to my beautiful cat and pet my cat and find some solace there. That could be one example of using your environment and modifying your environment sometimes, like you're saying, taking the violence out.
Yes.
Because it serves no good reason, nothing good about our body and our wellness to watch that, in our mind, of course. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And our subconscious mind is so sensitive. Even if you're walking down the street, there's billions of stimulus going on around you that you're perceiving, that you're picking up on. And it's not to say you have to live in a stress-free zone where there's nothing going on. It's not possible. You know, we live life and we have our surroundings and our atmosphere. But as best you can, protect your brain. As best you can, you have one brain. So it's so important to not only protect it, yet really to commit to upgrading it and to commit to relieving and releasing emotional stagnant garbage. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. I mean, that's half the reason I can work with disease, is because the stagnant seed of beliefs and ideas that just grow over time that are toxic, literally toxic emotional baggage that over time becomes physical pain, physical fatigue. It's a whole nother thing. Yet that being said, we have the beautiful ability to protect our brains and recognize that we have sacred energy. We have sacred thoughts. We have sacred energy. We really want to be on top of the thoughts that go in and come out. And also, we do really want to release old emotions, because even for disease prevention, I believe, especially nowadays with all these chronic diseases, I believe not only are they reversible, but they're preventable.
I totally agree with you. I totally do. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a big advocacy of mine. And that's a big passion of mine, that you want to release old stagnant energy, bring in good thoughts, good energy, and you can allow your body to heal. Really, you can.
And so that would imply making some changes. And I'm going back to the environment aspect of this conversation. So when we get the foods out of our pantry and out of our refrigerator that are not causing wellness, but they're causing more or less disease, some imbalance, not for the good of the body, when we get them out of there, then we have a better chance. We're not tempted. We're more empowered because maybe we've gotten all those boxes and bags together and made a big bonfire celebration, which I talked about with another speaker, and just, visually get rid of those darn things. And it's empowering when you do something like that. Now, that's maybe an extreme thing. You don't have to go to that extent, but, you could, if you wanted to have fun with it, that kind of thing.
Yeah, completely. I think that's a great idea. Also, when I work with people for weight loss specifically, I always say that with this issue, so for example, other drug addictions, and food can be a drug. It really can be, especially sugar. Sugar is known to be more addictive than cocaine. So when it comes to other drugs, for example, if you give up hard drugs or smoking or anything like that, you never have to touch it again. You're done. The intricate part of working with people with food is that you have to eat to live. So, yes. So the subconscious work that I help people with, getting rid of the emotional behavior, kind of plucking out old stagnant energy, allowing your nature to really agree with your conscious desire to eat better. I still say this is teamwork. Because, for example, like clearing out the pantry would be a beautiful thing for someone to do with me, because it's a team effort. It really is. Your subconscious mind can be clear, 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 and clean, but you still have conscious decision. So you want to be in partnership, conscious and subconscious partnership.
Exactly. All right. So another question, Danna. How do you facilitate changing beliefs? I'm sure you're going to talk about hypnosis, and maybe we've done some of that already, but let's go a little deeper into the underlying emotional charges that are, if there is more to go there, Danna.
Yeah. So I love this stuff. I really do. And it gets more and more fascinating. I've been doing this for 5+ years now, and it just gets deeper and more fascinating. My favorite tool since the beginning is regression therapy. Regression therapy is going into the childhood, going into the file folders of where the emotional charge began, the foundation, the beginning of where your habit began or your addiction began. And not only removing the belief, because you can remove the belief, but if you still have that same deep emotional charge connected to, so what are memories? Basically, memories are the software. Memories are the database of how to behave and how to operate. That's why we have memories. Because if we're trying to constantly in every single second learn how to behave and how to operate, we'd be dead. We'd be overwhelmed. So the subconscious mind has this library system of memories because we have to do things unconsciously. We have to be able to brush our teeth. We have to be able to just function. So our memories are the database. So we pull all behaviors from the database. So if the database is dysfunctional, you can go into the database where the dysfunction began and all the subsequent relative material around it, clear it up, clean it out, not only in the beliefs, in the written script, because we have these scripts of memories, but also the emotional momentum, the emotional charge. So you really want to do both, because just plucking out a belief is great. It's one thing. But if you still have that nature, that instinctive emotional movement, there's a disconnect. Once you do that, especially with food, binge eating, emotional eating, there's a range of emotions that are connected to emotional eating. Yet I find that when you're significantly overweight, it's because you don't feel safe. You don't, in your subconscious mind, you don't feel safe in the world. So if you do feel safe in your subconscious mind through regression therapy, allowing some memories that you felt kind of unsafe in, if those memories are resolved, and when the subconscious mind feels safe, then your diets start to work. Because the reason sometimes diets don't work is because we'll sabotage ourselves the moment we get too attractive, the moment we come out into the world, because our subconscious mind really wants to keep us safe. So if it feels at all threatened, it'll immediately sabotage, just because in reality it thinks it's doing a positive thing.
Exactly. So I know you're an advocate of journaling to help to work with the subconscious mind. Would you tell us more about that?
Yes, so journaling is a new tool that I like to use personally and also with clients. And writing, not typing, but writing, because it's kind of like grounding it in. When you're taking pen to paper, you're making a declaration. For whatever reason, it makes it more solid, more foundational. I've been using journaling for manifestation lately, which is interesting, to compress time. And I'm experimenting because I have, not only is this a clinical thing I do, but I have fun with this stuff. Mm-hmm. I like to experiment with how the imagination works, with how the mind works. So I'm always my first guinea pig with all this stuff. And I find it fascinating. So journaling is more myself. I use for my clients, I use for manifestation. I can, for example, write certain potent affirmations that basically, when you take pen to paper, you're solidifying it. It's not just a thought that's kind of lingering here. It's like, no, I am making and creating an action and an intent around this, whatever it is that you're trying to put out into the world.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. All right, well, we're getting close to the end here. Lots of juicy information. I really love this topic. Oh, and a little bit more about journaling I'd like to insert here is that when we do take pen to paper, or pencil for that matter, there is a high electrical charge coming through our fingers into that pen or pencil, onto that paper. And this is very much the foundation of manifestation, is working with the electrical aspect, electromagnetic aspect of our bodies, and that we have, that again is somewhat determinant, as is the subconscious mind, because thoughts have a vibration, and that's what we're really talking about, is the vibrational aspect. That is, there's so much power there that again we can manage, or
Completely.
manage us.
That's it. I agree.
Yeah. So, Danna, why don't you tell us about our free gift that I'm really ready to try, because I still have a little bit of sugar addiction at times showing up. So Danna's gift is going to help us with that. So why don't you tell us about that?
Beautiful. Okay, so I created a course for last year. I had a lot of requests to work with me, and I couldn't fulfill it all. So I created a course for emotional eating for people that want healing, but they can't access, or we can't necessarily work together. Part of that course, which I have a new course, a mini course, is that I'm giving away for free today, is for sugar addiction. So sugar addiction is, yeah, all of us have a little bit of it, and some of us have a lot of it. Yet in reality, this specific gift is a very potent hypnosis. You can listen to it once and you'll see a change, if not permanently not wanting to eat it, or a significant reduction. The idea is for 10 days, it's a 10-day sugar challenge. You listen to the hypnosis every day as best you can, even twice a day would be better. And it creates this permanent shift. So hypnosis is different from any type of meditation or anything like that, because it is permanent resolution. So yeah, that's the gift today. It's to quit sugar addiction. And during the 10 days, you'll be getting emails to nurture and for you to feel comfortable, and also to help you commit to listen every day.
Oh, this sounds really juicy. And I like the support on your end with the daily emails, which we can choose to read or not, so
Exactly.
No doubt they're going to be very helpful. All right, Danna Pycher, thank you so much for this interview and this wonderful information to empower us in letting go of those excess menopausal pounds. And I'm going to sign off now. Jean Natray, your host, and hope to see you in the next interview. Bye, Danna. Thanks again.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.